very weird. T3Media.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Talking Through the Medias. Your home for entertainment news, a little bit of good vibes, a little entertainment, and I'll try to entertain if I can. Usually my jokes always fail, but you know whose jokes never fail? It's the one and the only Sarah. How you doing, Sarah? What's going on?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm gonna put the pressure on you. You know who never tells a bad knock joke? it's Sarah. But we have the same thing as always. We have three topics that we're going to go through. We're going to talk about for the week. It's Hump Day. So, let's talk a little entertainment news, a little Batgirl movie news, a little Blade. And I want to do a little Loki talk because I haven't done my recap of the last episode. So I thought, it was the final episode of the season. So I usually get into what I call the binge. I wanted to do a little 5-minute binge discussion of the whole series, actually. Just get your quick thoughts on it. I'll tell you what I think about it and why everybody is going, they're either hot or cold about Loki. What's going on out there? So we'll just talk a little bit about that. Am I noticing something? Is everything frozen or anything? Let's see. I think there might be a little bit of a freeze here. Let me try again. So we get that fixed. Hey, are you there? You're back? Your mic is off. That's what's going on. There we go. I think your mic is off. You got to unmute yourself. There we go. All right, we're back. Okay.
Can't have Sarah without her sound. I mean, come on.
What is Sarah without the sound? Let's go. Okay. All right. This is our second attempt. This is our second attempt for episode 200. I don't know why this episode is so cursed, but episode 200 is just, I don't know. Our 200th episode. Thank you guys for joining us early. I know this isn't usually the normal time. You guys will probably catch up later on at 9:00 when you're used to seeing Talking Through the Medias, but we're doing it early because I got something to do later on. I'm gonna go watch I was invited to a press screening of Snake Eyes. So I'm going to go check that out. I'm going to give a review tonight, and I'm going to bring a little equipment with me. So hopefully it'll be a good time and you'll get a good review from me. If not, you'll get a very, very long, bad review from me. I am very long-winded on that. So I'm thinking it's going to be a good movie. The trailers look good. Are you interested in Snake Eyes? Did you watch the G.I. Joe stuff?
So I've watched some of the G.I. Joe stuff, but not a lot. Yeah. But I have seen this trailer, and it does look good. I like a lot of the fight scenes. The choreography of the fight scenes are amazing, always in G.I. Joe. So I guess we'll see whether this one's good.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that there's not another glitch happening. I think the animation is fine. Let me double check real quick. Let me hit the live button. There might be a hiccup here or there. I'm gonna have to get some new software or something to figure out what I'm doing wrong with this animation. But let me try to fix it real quick because at this point I could still edit it out because there's nobody really here live. Let me double check. Is it still look like it's freezing on our end?
Yeah, we're both kind of
delayed here.
Framey.
Let me double check real quick. Let me do a quick test. See where we are. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna have to get something new. Guys, let me reset it real fast without stopping, and then I'm gonna start real quick. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can fix it real quick. So, how are we animating now?
I just see the episode screen.
I mean, on your end, I think you're.
Okay, wiggling around.
It looks like
I just see the episode 200 and then your setup screen. I don't see us.
I think we might be back. What is that? How does that look now? Is that better?
Yeah, you look good.
Okay.
You're moving.
Of course. All right. I think it might be. It was just like a little delay. So let's try to hopefully power through episode 200 is cursed. So we're real quick, guys. I'll just get through it real fast. So if you want to watch this episode, or if you can't watch this episode, you want to listen to it, you can go to Spotify or SoundCloud, iTunes. Give us a rating. You can listen to us there. Remember, if you want to send in questions, comments, concerns, you can always put it in the box during our live stream, streamlabs.com, T3Medias /tips, or through super chats and whatnot. But I also just dropped a video on TikTok saying that why don't you use our Q&A button, and maybe I'll start using the We Got Your Mail feature there only. And speaking of TikTok, real quick, before I know I'm going to piss off the YouTube gods by delaying, you sent me a video to react to. You said do a blind reaction to it. I tried, and it wouldn't allow me to duet it. The video you did. So I'll see if maybe it was on my end, and I'll fix it. But yeah, I saw the video, and I tried. I didn't watch it, but I'll try to do a duet to it. So okay, let me get on topic here. So topic number one, guys. Comes to us from Variety. So the In the Heights star Leslie Grace and 5 Feet Apart actress Haley Lu Richardson are emerging as the top contenders to take the role for Barbara Gordon in Batgirl, the upcoming HBO Max superhero film. Batgirl will be directed by Adil Arbi and Bilall, if I'm saying it right, Fallah, the directing pair behind Bad Boys for Life, one of the few box office successes of the pandemic that we got in 2020. What do you are? I know you are a Marvel to the heart, but what do you think about? Are you even into the DCEU, or is it just?
No, I like DC. I have no issue with DC. I do have concerns about this movie in a couple different ways. And one is definitely going to be just the whole Batgirl thing. I never liked it because she's technically when Batgirl first emerged in the DC comics, she was 18 years old. Okay. An 18-year-old is a young woman. She's not necessarily a girl. If you look at the Bat Boy characters, there's never really been like Bat Boy as much as like, they called him like they have like
Robin, right?
Yeah, but they have like Red Hood and like all these different like I think it's all these different names for all these different guy characters.
Right.
And even if they're like 16 years old and some of them are that young, she's a young woman. And I get how there's also a Batwoman who was in her 30s when she first emerged in the comics, and it's a completely different character. But I don't know, 18 is, a young woman to me, not necessarily a girl.
So you've always had issues with the fact that with the Batgirl character as just as an idea, or what do you think? Just
as an idea, just the little bit of sexism I find calling a young woman a girl, infantilizing them. That's it right there. But I mean, the actresses, that's the short and skinny of it. It's good comics. It's good action, that kind of thing, even though they do kind of, you can obviously see her 6-pack and her breastplates in there. And she's obviously not a girl, a young girl or something. But the actresses that are associated with this are all younger. They're in their late teens and 20s. And there is such a list of people, a tremendous list. So I guess we'll see who HBO picks. But I mean, the top contenders are Leslie Grace and Haley Lu Richardson.
Yeah, I remember there were more that were discussed, but now it seems like they're narrowing it down to these two.
Yeah, but they're both, I believe both of them have family that are also in the business. So I know Leslie Grace, both of her parents were actors, and she's been in a bunch of movies. And I'm not sure what Haley Lu Richardson has been in, but her family's also actors and in the business too, aren't they?
I believe so. Yeah, you're right about that. And when I think of this with because I didn't know at first. I thought this was maybe a DCEU thing, or if this was a like a standalone, like the way they're doing with Patterson's Batman. And I'm like 50-50 on that, and especially with the fact that they narrowed it down to these two actresses. Now, maybe I'm one of those guys, I probably am, that's always thinking outside the box in the wrong direction for the wrong reason. But not to make a thing about it, but I find it interesting that one is a woman of color and one is white, because that tells me, to me, it feels like, does that mean that if it lands on one actress, that would tell us that, and this is not a definite, I'm just being stupid, that this is a definite DCEU link, or if it lands on the woman of color, that it's the spinoff? Because if I'm not mistaken, Robert Pattinson's Batman is a standalone. It's not connected with the DCU, but Commissioner Gordon is played by a black male. So I feel and they'll probably, even if it's not what I think it is, the speculation, they're probably opening it up to whatever they want to do. Because even if it is, let's say, for example, if it is linked to the DCEU, and that would mean it's not linked to that's Ben Affleck's Batman. And if they pick the woman of color to be Barbara Gordon, they could still say that what's that? J.K. Is it Simmons? What's that actor who played Commissioner Gordon? J.K. Simmons. That he married a woman of color or something like that. That's the easy way to just explain it. But I don't know why that was the first thought that popped in my head. Like if they pick the one lady, that means it's DCEU probably. If they pick the other one, then she's related to the black man that's playing Gordon in Pattinson's Batman, and it's probably not that. I'm just being stupid, but I just thought that was interesting. But I don't care which one is picked. I like both. I like the looks of both. I'm sure that there's a reason why it's come down to these two, and I'm excited to see. I'm just hoping that whoever they pick, the acting style and the chemistry just fits with whatever script that they wrote. That's really what the other stuff I was just talking about was just me being stupid. Well,
I mean, I think you make some valid points. I mean, traditionally, all of the Batmans and all those extra characters have all been white. And ultimately Batgirl didn't have such a developed character history in the DC comics to where it would make a difference what her actual race was. So right. I think it would be a good change to have her be a different race other than white, and it really wouldn't matter within the historical comics either.
Yeah. And they could, like I said, they could easily explain it if it's linked to Patterson's. It's probably not. I mean, but
also, why should they?
They would, yeah, exactly.
Why couldn't she just show up and be not white? Why couldn't she be a different race and it be perfect?
Well, we both know the answer to that, because the trolls will be like, Batgirl has always, and then it comes back to that other collaboration I did with somebody said that redheaded characters are usually recast as black, so it's probably it's funny. That's because like we were joking about roulette earlier, red and black. That's because we're all part of the family. We're all family.
But you can bet on red on this one, okay, guys?
Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
But she was blonde in the comics, so I mean, if they want to get all uppity about it, just dye whatever actress gets it. Yeah, give her some blonde hair to start with.
I think originally she was blonde, and she became a redhead, if I'm not mistaken. And then she stayed a redhead because.
Batgirl, or are you talking about?
Batgirl. I know she's been blonde and a redhead, but was Batgirl always a redhead, or was she originally blonde?
She was blonde in the first comic, and it was, oh gosh, I can't remember what line it is, but the number of the comic is number 18, and I can't remember the storyline of it, but I did read through it today. But she was blonde in that one. She was blonde, skinny, and white, and they had her in that classic, next to no waist. And
but usually when people think of the majority of images that I've always seen, especially in animation and whatnot, it's usually a redhead. But like I said, redhead, blonde, black, I don't care. It doesn't matter. They can. I just want the best actress for the job. I just want the best person to fit the whatever script that they wrote. I'm really curious about what's going on with Pattinson's Batman. It might not even be anywhere linked to it, but I'm just curious on what they're doing. I'm hearing a lot of.
I don't think it will be, because this will be an HBO recreation, and so I do have some concerns about HBO running it, though, because if you think of HBO and how they do their shows and their movies, it's a lot, and I hate to say it, but it's a lot of nudity. There's a bit of extra nudity, but there's not I don't want to watch a comic based movie or show and people be gratuitously naked. Not into it. I mean, if they do that, then I'll have a big problem with it. They can mess with the story to fit their theatrics or however they want to do it, but I don't need to see anybody naked, and I don't need to see needless romantic connections either.
Yeah, I mean, HBO is also, if I'm not mistaken, the producer of, the main producers of Superman and Lois as well, which is why people are saying that's why the quality of the show looks way different and in some people's opinions better than what's been normally being presented on the CW.
Well, I mean, you're comparing CW, which if you want to HBO,
yeah, exactly.
And it's like comparing, dollar store fruit salad to, like gourmet fruit salad, right. Like homemade fruit salad versus fruit salad you get at a can at the dollar store. I mean, it's different. That
7-core meal that you can get at a fancy restaurant compared to whatever the hell's in my fridge. That's
not hating on the CW or dollar store fruit salad. That's good in its time, Right. If you want dollar store fruit salad, you got a hankering, go get it. Watch your CW. They got some good shows, but the production quality and the amount of money that HBO can throw on it versus the CW, I mean, come on.
Like she's trashing the CW as I slowly get out of frame. Like you're on your own on this one. I love the Flash.
CW is great.
I love the Flash.
But you're comparing CW to HBO. It's different. HBO has a lot more money.
A lot more money and a lot more nudity. All right, guys, let us know what you guys think about the whole thing with Batgirl. If they're going to be, if they're going to cast one of these young ladies, I'm looking forward to it. I'm curious on like Sarah said, being a HBO Max property, one of their first projects at this level. I'm trying to see what's going on here. Does that mean that a lot of their side characters, not the main DC characters that we see on the big screen, are they going to get their own movies and they're going to go straight to HBO Max? I'm curious about that. So let us know what you guys think about that whole thing, and maybe we'll talk about it some more on another episode or on We Got Your Mail. So without further ado, let me try to fix these glitches and get to the next topic, which is from Deadline. So after a thorough search that involved months of meeting of slew of talent, Marvel's new Blade movie has found its director. While a deal is not yet done, sources tell Deadline that Bassam Tariq, best known for directing the Riz Ahmed film Mogul Mowgli, is in talks to helm the new adaptation of the popular comic with Mahershala Ali, set to play the iconic vampire hunter. Stacy Osei-Kuffour is on board to pen the script with Marvel Studios President Kevin Feige producing, and that comes to us from Deadline. So I've always been a big fan of Blade, of course, with what we saw from Wesley Snipes' version of it, and I'm not ashamed to say that I got so excited about Blade that I ran with a fake story that was presented on IMDb. I'm not going to call out where I originally got it from, but I looked at it on IMDb. So here's a warning to anyone out there who has presented the full cast of the upcoming Blade movie. That hasn't been set in stone. The whole list that's on IMDb of like Jada Pinkett Smith, for example, that's not concrete. And I put that out there on TikTok, and I was told by a lot of people, like, no, Chris, you might want to retract this one. This is not concrete. So anybody out there who's done that, like be warned, like double check the sources. So I pulled it back just in case. But it seems like the new director, the Mogul Mowgli, I didn't watch it, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was the story about the gentleman who's into, I think, rock and roll, and I think he was losing his hearing. if I'm not mistaken. And I think that's what he was.
You're talking about Mogul or Mowgli?
Is it Mogul? Is that what it's called? Or is it two titles?
Because Mowgli is the kid from Jungle Book.
Yeah, but I know, and I saw Mogul Mowgli. I'm thinking if is that the full title or is it just called Mogul? Because I believe he was also nominated for an Academy Award for that, and I think it was a Amazon Prime original. But it here in Deadline it said Mogul Mowgli, unless it was a typo. Let's just say it was Mogul.
Okay.
But the actor in there, I think he was also in the first Venom movie as the villain. He's a great actor, and
he's amazing.
Amazing actor. So the person who directed the movie that got him that Oscar nod is now going to be directing Mahershala Ali on Blade. So I'm excited about that. I mean, Kevin Feige is not afraid to take people who are virtually unknown, known in the business, but virtually unknown, like in popularity wise to the fans, and take a chance on them. And so far it hasn't failed yet, because Kevin Feige is known for saying that why would you not go for the big name actor? He said a good storyteller is a good storyteller. And obviously the people that he's meeting with, they present their idea, their vision, and so far so good. What's the thing that people are always saying? In Feige we trust, as far as these movies. So I'm excited no matter what. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a huge Blade fan, and I can't wait to see who the rest of the cast members are, if IMDb got it right. But I was told they got it wrong. Jada Pinkett Smith would be interesting. Kerry Washington would be an interesting cast as well.
Robert De Niro
is what was said, but I was told that's not set in stone. So
okay,
I had to
well, you know how I feel about IMDb. They lie.
They do.
They lie
because it can be edited.
They lie just for publicity. Maybe they sent it to Robert De Niro. Maybe he said no already. We don't know that. But who I'm really excited about, I'm excited about Sam Raimi. I think that's how you say his name. But he is amazing. He was in The Evil Dead and The Army of Darkness. So if he comes on as a producer, are we going to be able to see that darkness brought into the first Blade, how it was a little dark, but it could have been much scarier. Yeah. It could have been more horrific than the original Blade was, more of an action type movie where they had the Bruce Willis movies during that time period. So it would be interesting to see if they could make it a little more of a horror with action. And imagine the depth that would bring into this movie. That would just be amazing, because ultimately it is about vampires, and it was very bloody and it was very visceral. It was just all very animalistic, and the fight scenes were amazing, and people were hissing at each other. And one thing I'm really excited about, and I will be so mad if this doesn't happen.
I think I know what you're about to say. The thing that I was
Richard E. Grant is coming in, and supposedly as Dracula.
As Dracula. Who else? You said Robert De Niro as Whistler, and I think it said
Donald Logue as Quinn.
Playing.
Do you know? If you don't know who that is, he's amazing.
He was the same character in the original Blade, and that's why I was freaking out. I'm like, is this a multiverse of madness situation? They bringing him back? Wesley Snipes was having a hard time on killing him. It would be hilarious if he somehow were to come back and this new Blade, and maybe he is the vampire from the original, and he's telling the new Deacon Frost and stuff like Wesley couldn't kill me, this guy won't be able to kill, just making a joke out of it, nobody knows what he's talking about. But I would love that, but people are saying that IMDb is wrong, and I'm hoping they're right. I'm hoping IMDb is right about this casting, because I would freak out. I love the thing I loved about Blade. It's just like you said, as much as bloody as it was, and the horror and everything. But the thing I loved more about the original Blade was the dialogue, the script, the conversation, between Deacon Frost and just anyone. I don't know why the conversations got me just as much as any of the action or the gore, because it was such an in your face like the smoothness of that character, the way he was just he has got to be like one of my top 5 vampires out of any movie. Like he reminded me of, is it Kiefer Sutherland on Lost Boys? It felt like that vampire brought into a comic book movie. I don't know what it was about the way Deacon Frost was presented, or if that's the way he's portrayed in the comic books. But his delivery in that movie, just those conversations, that whole your mascara is running because he was out in the sun with the suntan, lotion blocking the sun, and he's just the way he just kind of like looked at him, and just I don't know why, little subtle things like that. Didn't even say a word, just the way he checked and looked, and it was like I knew 1,000 things were being thought and said without a word being mentioned. Just the acting was great in that movie. And what made part 2 so good was what you were saying about the horror quality. Well, how you felt about the horror in the first one is how I feel about the horror in the second one. So I'm excited about. I want them to make. I agree. I want Blade to be scary as hell. Hopefully. It should be. It's about freaking vampires. Exactly.
I mean, come on. That's something you like.
You can't mess up
there's
this.
No way.
There's a vampire. But you know what? Hollywood has neutered the vampire so much nowadays. Back in the day, it used to take an army to kill one vampire. Now any kid can do it. Like,
yeah.
So it's like that's what's been going on in my opinion. So.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if they actually do bring in the Dracula character, because if you think about the original, like with Stephen Dorff in it and what he brought to that Deacon Frost character, because he was a true born, or like, I can't remember what they referred to it as. So he was born a vampire, so he wasn't turned. So that's the reason why he could wear the sun protectant and go out in the sun for short periods of time, and ultimately, Dracula being, having all those descendants and whatsoever. And it's horrifying. It's horrifying. So it should be a horror movie as much as it's an action movie. And just Wesley Snipes' portrayal of how damaged he was, how damaged and angry he was. He was essentially alone since birth. I mean, his mother died giving birth to him. So it's going to be interesting. And his whole outlook through the whole movie is just revenge.
Yeah, if they tap into that more the way they did on the first Blade, the fact that he was outside, he couldn't really fit in with the vampires because he was a daywalker, and he couldn't fit in with regular humans because he was a damn vampire. So it was like he was like you said, he was totally alone. And you're right. I want them to tap into the trauma and that, because you're right, that did feed into why Wesley Snipes, his version of Blade, had that chip on his shoulder. He pretty much hated everyone equally. You couldn't accuse him of racism. He hated everybody.
He was like, I always say this about these cowboys and these characters and how they're basically like cowboys. They are. If you think of like really old Western movies, he is that lone cowboy riding on the range seeking revenge, and once he's done, he has no other reason to live. And so I mean, that's what was good about the second Blade movie. I mean, what happens next after you accomplish a mission like that? And but Wesley Snipes played him perfectly, and they better not make him soft. Exactly. They better not make Blade soft in this new movie. Don't give him too many feelings.
Yeah, and don't nerf these vampires. I miss the days because they did it perfectly in part 1 and part 2. Vampires were hard tough to kill. They were very tough to kill, and that was executed very well in both the first one and the second one. And then I think in the third one, and then almost every vampire movie afterwards, it was like, just a little holy water sprinkled, and they'll
they don't explode.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're basically parasites. They're just walking, talking parasites that can infect anyone, and that's the scariest part about vampires. That, and they suck your blood, and they're super strong. So it's crazy to think.
I like in the first Blade movie when she called him a sexually transmitted disease. That's all you are.
That's basic. That's
basically
it.
what it is.
Hey.
Get a little bit of that on you, and it's like
bloodborne disease.
It's not. Yeah, it's not gonna. There's no quick little shot really for that.
It's like hepatitis.
Yeah,
can't get rid of it.
Yeah, that's gonna stick with you like luggage. All right, guys, let us know what you guys think about the direction that MCU is. Even though it's gonna be PG-13, I'm still hopeful because you can really push the boundaries of it. It won't be that bloody, but you can still
I don't know. I
make
think PG-13 movies are allowed to be really, really violent. There's just not going to be any nudity.
No nudity.
So
no cursing,
I like that it's going to be PG-13 because nobody's going to get naked. You know how I feel about people getting naked in movies, but bring on the gore.
Yeah. Well, Sarah Killfun over here doesn't want to see a naked Blade, but I'm sure there's all you out there that want to see a naked Blade. I'm sure you guys will write it in the box below and petition. That's what the original Blades were missing. Wesley Snipes and a butt shot, probably, right? That's probably.
But why would he need to be naked?
To sell candy.
Why would he need to be naked?
To sell like ointment or whatever some marketing company's gonna. You put on Wesley Snipes or
Boudreaux's butt paste.
By minute, So let us know what you guys think and maybe we'll talk about. Speaking of glorious purpose, I wanted to talk a little bit more. I know it's already been come and gone and everything, but I wanted to just give my quick little binge review of the Loki series. So not only just to talk about how the show ended, but just the whole series as a whole, and just to give my quick thoughts on it, because I'm mostly in agreement with everyone else. I rank it third after Wanda and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it's a close third it's a close fight for second place, because there were some of the things that were done in WandaVision that it just. Being first was probably what really helped, because I feel like maybe if the order was shifted around, maybe we'd be saying something different. Maybe everybody would be disappointed in WandaVision. Maybe not, but maybe. Yes, we never know how people are going to react sometimes. But being the first out of the gate, I think WandaVision had the advantage. And the fact that it was a mystery and like what the hell is going on and how they subtly did it. But I think every season, every series did that same thing. It was kind of like, well, except for Falcon and Winter. Well, Falcon, you pretty much knew who the bad guys were and what the hell was going on. Everybody was just wondering what was the funny guy with the mask? What's his name again? I was about to say Nemo. What was his name? In Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
The funny guy?
The guy with the mask, the one that the bad guy from Civil War. He was a meme for a while with that funny dancing in the club. What? God's killing me. What is his name? Guys, write it in the comment section. What was his name anyway, the rich guy that they had to work with on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now you let me, damn it, Sarah, you made me lose my train of thought by not giving me the answer. But I feel that Loki did a lot of things better than those other two series, but one of the things that I was worried about, I talked about it a lot during the episode recaps, was the love connection between Sylvie and Loki. I was hoping they weren't going to go that far with it, and then they did. I was surprised that you found his name?
Baron Zemo, maybe?
Zemo. I was calling
okay, he was a bad guy. You got me by when you were saying like the rich guy, because I was like, he wasn't.
Well, he had a jet. I mean, he had a butler.
It wasn't his jet. He was on loan. Like he was
in
bust out of jail.
I mean, it was. Like, he was in it.
He was in
jail.
Yeah,
he was a baron. He said he was. Yeah, he said he was like a baron or something like that.
His name is Baron Zemo. He's Baron Zemo.
Yeah, he's rich. Yeah.
No, he's a scientist.
Oh, yeah, but he's a baron.
I think his name is Baron. I don't think he's a baron. He's not like a titled baron. He was a scientist that worked on the Winter Soldier. Well, he stole the stuff and then
they're retconning him. They're making him rich. but I think that a lot of things that worked with Loki. One of the things that I was kind of upset about with Loki was the fact that we had this whole thing, this story development with the Loki character that took years to get to Endgame, and for him to finally become, a likable, he's always likable, but a good brother to his brother Thor and everything, and become a true ally. And it seemed that it happened within just a matter of weeks. What took years to get Loki there because of the TVA just took a couple of weeks. I mean, he saw himself sacrifice himself to Thanos, and he meets Sylvie, and now he's pretty much as loving and caring.
He's whipped. I think that's the difference.
I guess I was trying to be nice about it. He's just straight beta. He just turned to straight beta.
In the character arc you're talking about that took years because he didn't love anybody. Okay. And then all of a sudden he meets the love of his life. Tell me you don't know a guy that was hard as nails, and he meets the love of his life and he's like a puppy dog now. That's all it takes. Takes a good woman. Come on, you know that.
Right, exactly. Well, not only that, but a good woman of a variant of yourself and everything. So it was an odd choice. And at the very end, like, it was basically just a big old conversation between I guess who's about to become Kang the Conqueror, and this whole trick about whether. So the theory is that he wanted to be sacrificed. He actually wanted it, and he needed Sylvie to do it. That's why when it felt like when Loki was kind of getting through to her, that's when he shifted a little bit and kind of egged him on. Hey Sylvie, you really sure you can trust this guy? And it didn't make any sense. If you really want them to take over the TVA and take your place, why are you still pinning them against each other and screwing with their heads? I feel like that whole thing was a trick to set off the Kang the Conqueror, the whole timeline thing, and everything.
He is technically He Who Remains. So there's a variant of him, He Who Remains, that will become Kang.
Right.
But he is not Kang.
But exactly, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
So
that's the difference.
I feel like
so Kang will be a completely separate character. But yeah, I do agree that it was basically suicide. Like he was
because he knew he'd be back, right? Yeah.
Well, in a not him specifically, but a variation of him.
Yeah, that's why. And what was that wink he gave? He said something like, "I'll see you soon," right?
Yeah, but I mean, you have to think of he's been doing this for millions of years, and he won't die. Like, so wouldn't you get bored?
Yeah, exactly. So the whole that was my question. So like, why? Like, I feel like this was all a master plan. Like, I feel like I don't know why. I feel like he wants this whole, maybe out of boredom. You know what? I've kept this timeline together for all this time. Let's see what Kang does.
Well, if you think, like, he knew what happened. He was fine in the world that he had control of because he knew what happened up into a certain point. And I believe that is true out of what he said. So everything that had happened for however long it was up until they crossed that threshold, he knew exactly what was going to happen. And then he goes into this space and you could see his entire personality change. Mm-hmm. His attitude shifted. He was very confident before. As soon as they passed that threshold, he was stuttery. His stature was small. He had no idea what was going to happen. And that, I think, A, was terrifying for him, and B, he would have to start the battle all over again in order to, regain or hold on to control. But even then, if he did that, he would have no assurances as of what was going to happen. So he had no control. So he would be fighting everybody and never know what the real outcome was. Whereas before, he always knew what the outcome was.
Overall, so what did you think about the series overall? Where do you rank it?
So okay. So first, before we can do a ranking, we have to be fair to all the other series and talk about the obstacles that they faced. So Wanda faced the start of COVID. So if the first couple episodes, no issue. And then throughout the middle of the series towards the end, it was all COVID. So they had to cut a lot of story. They had to change a lot of story. There was a lot more characters that were meant to be in it. It was supposed to tie more heavily into the Multiverse of Madness movie that's coming out with Doctor Strange in it. So there's a lot of the story that should have been there that was missing. Mm. Okay. Falcon and the Winter Soldier are still the same. So they dealt with COVID in a different way, but a lot of the story that was supposed to be in there is missing because of the Black Widow movie. Black Widow movie was supposed to come out like right after or like during the same time that was playing, because there were supposed to be crossovers between those movies, and the series.
I heard that Black Widow was supposed to come out before Falcon and Winter Soldier. We were supposed to see Julie Louis-Dreyfus debut in that before we saw her. That's what I heard.
Yeah, and there was supposed to be more of them in that series, which we didn't get to see because they had to take it all out. So we're missing some of the exciting parts and the tie-ins with the other areas. Now, Loki didn't have that issue. Loki didn't have the issue of having to wait for other things or miss scenes and things like that. And so we're looking at the entirety of a work, and then we're looking at two different series that have majority of the work that they were meant to have. So I think it's a little unfair to say, some are better than the others. I enjoyed the Loki series as much as I enjoyed WandaVision, and I'd still enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But if I had to rank them, just how they are right now, not considering all the obstacles that they face, I would say Loki, close second, WandaVision, and then still close third, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think they're all great stories, but the pieces that tied WandaVision and the Falcon and Winter Soldier together with the other things that came out were missing. So, which is sad.
I think it's going to be one of those situations, and because you've heard about have you been seeing what people have been saying about like Doctor Strange? People have been going back and going based on what we saw in WandaVision and Loki, that Doctor Strange was pretty much in our face the whole time telling us about this, and we weren't even really noticing, talking about multiverses, talking about timelines and stuff like that. So was the Sorcerer Supreme before Doctor Strange, were they trying to, were they working for or doing the bidding of the TVA? Because even in Endgame, when Hulk tried to get the Time Stone from the Sorcerer Supreme, she mentioned, if you take this stone from us, you're going to create a different timeline. So it seemed like the Sorcerer Supreme were trying to do the bidding of what the TVA was trying to keep in place, keeping this one timeline from being affected and from splintering off. Do you think now with the Multiverse of Madness coming out, do you think? There's two questions. Do you believe that when Doctor Strange was looking up a way for the Avengers to beat Thanos, do you also now based on what you've seen, believe that he was looking for a way to not only beat Thanos, but also doing it without messing up the sacred timeline? And do you believe now that the Multiverse of Madness is coming, that he's going to abandon even trying to bring it back to one sacred timeline and just let it all go and just let them all exist? What do you think about those two questions? Okay,
so there's a crazy amount of things that I have to say, and to answer both your questions, no. You
don't think he was trying to keep the timeline?
There's no proof that he had any prior knowledge of the TVA's existence. The Ancient One, there's no proof that she had any knowledge of the TVA's existence. All she could see was what she could see. So when she was talking to Bruce Banner, saying, if you take this stone, there's going to be that variant timeline, so the future me wouldn't exist. So that's thinking of time as we know it in a linear stance, okay? So the TVA was just making sure there was only one chance. So they were continuing with time being linear, being that there's only one outcome, but there's no free will. As long as you're doing what I say, then you can think that you're doing what I say, doing what you want. But there's no proof that Doctor Strange or even Wanda, which in the comics is the one that broke the multiverse? Sacred timeline and aided in the multiverse. But in Loki, it was Sylvie killing He Who Remains, who ultimately was didn't really break the multiverse, but allowed it to exist. So I think in the Doctor Strange movie, we'll actually see more of why everything was splintering, more of things like that. So the Ancient One, when she was talking to Bruce Banner and explaining, you're changing basically the future if you take this now. Even if you bring it right back and hand it to me as half a second or the second you take it, you're still creating this different future. Mm-hmm. So I think that she just understood time as most of us do, as it being linear instead of it being, all over the place. Mm. So I don't think that they had any knowledge. I don't think there's any proof. I think that if we would have seen some of the things that they had to cut out in WandaVision, I think we'd have questions. More answers. Yeah. And I think we'd have more answers. And I think some of the things that happened with Loki in that final episode may have made a little more sense and maybe fed into the movie more. Mm-hmm. But that movie is not coming out until next year. True. So we have a long time to sit here and
contemplate,
wonder.
Like, no, the Ancient One was in on it.
Yeah. She was in. I don't think she was in on it. I don't think that she was, anything like that. I think that she just knew what she knew, and I don't think it's anything more complicated than that.
Well, there you go, guys. So right there.
To answer the Doctor Strange question, where he goes through all the different scenarios. So he was just sitting there working out which was the best decision, because ultimately he said, out of all these hundreds of options that we could choose, only one would have us be successful. Mm-hmm. All of these things. And so he was just working out the different scenarios to see which one would be. And ultimately, you're right. If they did make all those different choices, those could be seen as like multiverses, and then time going off in that particular way if you make that choice. But you could also say that if I chose to walk straight as opposed to turning right, that would be a variant in my timeline. If I don't follow the sacred timeline, da 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 da. Right. But in that particular scenario, the TVA would have only allowed that one decision path for all those characters, because that was supposed to happen according to the TVA. So
wouldn't technically doing nothing would have also succeeded? Like if the Avengers decided not to even fight and let Thanos win, wouldn't the TVA then have to interfere and come like, oh, what the hell? You got to do something. Like, all right, Thanos, we're snappy. We're going to erase you guys out of existence because at this point, you're supposed to lose. This is Endgame. What the hell? Avengers fight. And you're like, no. And wouldn't the TVA then have to interfere? I mean, with all that power, it just seems that Doctor Strange would have been able to see that scenario. Well, technically, if we do nothing, this group will come out of this door and they'll like fix it.
Well, they didn't as much interfere, so it's not like somebody going down going, hey, turn left here, right. As much as it's, oh, you're not supposed to do that. We're going to wipe you out, reset the timeline, and hope you make a better decision next time, because if you don't, we're just going to wipe you out again and keep waiting for you to make the right decision, man.
Yeah, or if Thanos himself decided, you know what, I don't feel like snapping anybody. Oh, I'm just gonna go home. And all of a sudden the TVA comes out. Yep, now it's time for you to go meet He Who Remains. dump him on that garbage planet and let the dragon eat him. And they're like, no, do your damn job, Thanos. But that's I don't know. I'm willing to. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna take your advice. I'm gonna wait and see what we find out in the Multiverse of Madness. See if the Ancient One next year. See if the Ancient One and Doctor Strange was in on it. This whole they're getting paid under the table by the TVA, by He Who Remains. So Kang could come in and do his thing, right? But no, that's just speculation.
Well, I hope those storylines get leaked. I hope we find out some things. Maybe they'll use those storylines in What If that's coming out. Maybe, I don't know.
That's a good point.
But you can't use anything that happens in What If as like
canon, because because that'll just be so. Yeah, you're right. There's give and take on it. So if they do throw that in What If, you're right, we won't be able to use it in the MCU. So unless it's a variation. So who knows what will happen?
All What If is variant.
Exactly.
Variant timelines.
So it's funny. So it's kind of good that we got the Loki series before What If, because it kind of would make sense why these things, like technically we can imagine that these things actually happened, but because they weren't a part of the sacred timeline, they were then later. I want Miss Minutes to come at the end of every episode of What If and be like, and now it's time to throw this one in the trash. It can never happen. Like, this is a variation. So that would
I think when they burst at the very end of Loki, when the sacred timeline busted up and all those variations, so it changed.
That might have created the What If series.
That's what it did. So what it did was not only changed the possibilities of the future, it splintered all the way through the past.
That's true.
So it's not just the future. So all of those things in What If happened. Okay. After, like, it's strange to think of it like this. So,
and we got to be quick because we got to sign off.
Sacred timeline happened. Busted up at the end, created all the variants. That means it splintered all the way back to the beginning. So everything in What If happened in a variant timeline along with that sacred timeline that's not so sacred anymore. Right. And so maybe we could see stuff of that in future MCU stuff. I don't know what they're going to do, but it opens it up to anything that they want now.
Question is, guys, let us know what you think of the whole shebang. What are your thoughts on Loki? How it was executed? Where you rank it? If you're ready to rank it at all? Do you believe Sarah, with her misdirection and trying to say that the TVA wasn't a part in cahoots with the Ancient One, or do you believe this guy about that? Because if you go back to Doctor Strange. About 1 hour and 28 minutes, 7 seconds in, you can see her wink. She does a little wink at the camera. There is no TVA. I'm telling you. Watch it again. Watch it again. Very underrated. All right, guys. That's the show. I appreciate it. We're going to sign off. Like I said, I have to go head out, and I'm about to go watch the Snake Eyes movie. So Sarah can be super, super jealous about that. That's right. I'm starting to get press passes again. But I can also, if there's ever any advanced screenings or anything where you're at with being with the channel and stuff, if there's we can probably get you any advanced screenings if you or anyone in the guild want to go out and go check something out. I'll have to look that up for you. So yeah,
that's awesome. I'm sure there will be, because I'm in Atlanta. So
definitely
all the big stuff.
Definitely, yeah. So I'll look into that for you. So hopefully we'll be getting you some more advanced reviews like we used to before the whole pandemic thing slowed everything down again. So again, I'm gonna sign off. You can find me online I changed my personal ones now. It's at Chris W. Fagan. It's on TikTok, Twitter, and on Instagram. So if you want to ask me a question directly, or if you want to just use the Q&A on our TikTok, go to at T3Medias and just send a question in on there so we can use it for We Got Your Mail. And Sarah, if they want to find you online, where can they do that?
So I'm Sarah Catherine the Red on everything. And our podcast is Within the Guild on YouTube. And I also have a YouTube channel as well. So Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, all that stuff.
Going off on her Instagram, telling everybody all the wrong information, trying to cover up the conspiracy of the Ancient One. Yeah, we're watching you. We know what's going on. But that's the show, guys. I appreciate you guys for bearing with me. For finally, we're able to get the 200th episode out of the way with all these technical difficulties. And hopefully we're going to be doing some reactions real soon. So check those out. There's something. I think Sarah's got something planned for you guys, so be on the lookout for that in the near future. And until next time, guys, hey, peace.
Our supporters help make all this